Good day. Today we're going to have a little chat about jumping. So on the Bristol EUC meet, which is the biggest meet in Bristol and the biggest meet Bristol has ever seen, I had a couple of questions and it was about jumping. So I thought I would address it right now with a great example that I went out and filmed today, just to highlight how complex jumping can be or how simple it can also be. So let's delve into the footage that I record today and I will offer an explanation for it. So as you see, I'm approaching the log. So I'm going to jump over this log here and you see the wheel hits into it, and if you have a look, it jumps straight up. Now here's a slow motion of it. It hits in and it flies straight up in the air and dumps you back down again. Now there's some complexities within this environment we're in currently. The fact that one, there's hardly any run up at all. Secondly, it runs down into the log. And thirdly, the log obviously is log shaped, so it's curved. And it's a lot easier to jump up to a step, so with a right angled edge, because there's no undercut. So with jumping up, if you've got a nice flat surface there, that even if you duff into it, the whole tyre makes contact, and it can sometimes, as long as you're going light, ride up and over it. But with an undercut, you can't do that because the tyre doesn't make contact, and so you've only got this tiny little edge to actually hit. Now, so what you actually need, if you watch it in slow motion, it duffs straight into it and it sends you up. So if you've got a curve and you hit that edge flat and don't manage to launch up onto the top of it, you'll just cram into it and you'll go directly up. So bang, bang, is the way it goes. If you get it just on the edge, all that force that you're driving into it will hit it and up and over. So if you watch a couple of others, so you can see there the tyre bashes into it and goes straight up, and then obviously you're coming straight off. So same again, straight into it, smash, straight up in the air. It does bite. So that second clip there, it does just land on top of the log. Bites in, but it's too much out of control by that point in time. This is where you can smash up a wheel. So if you're attempting this, do it in the knowledge that you might hurt yourself or smash your wheel up. Now the complexity, as I say, the ground is actually also going down. So it's not like you've even got flat ground going up to the log and it's a nice jump up onto it. It's actually, you're starting off quite considerably lower than that log. Here's the log sizes now put in for you. So this is the dimensions of the log on your screen. Now, that doesn't tell you the whole story. As I say, the ground drops away before the log. So it doesn't give you a complete picture of what's happening here. Also, you'll see the distance between there's a drop off the other side, which then rises up, which you can't really tell on camera, but I've taken a photo of it to show you the distance between that and where it starts to rise up again. All these things are important factors. So this jumping up onto a log and over is pretty flipping complex. And this isn't really what the question people were asking, the question to jump up curbs, but this is all part of it. So let's watch the next clip. Same again, straight into it. You can see each time I'm compressing and then trying to lift up, but it's just not, it's not having it. So it's hard, and don't forget the weight of the wheel makes a massive difference as well. So the heavier the wheel, this M Super X is a really, really heavy wheel. And so trying to hop that up something with 1600 watt-hours batteries in it is pretty difficult. So I'm not getting much air. Now, if you want to aid your launch, you can reduce your tyre pressure. So you can have a squishier tyre, which will give you more of a jump. So you're coming up to the object, you're clamping down, so you see me lunge down and bend my knees and then lift up. And if you time it just right with the compression of the tyre, as you lift up, the tyre starts to return. You've loaded it, you then start to return back up. It will then lift up, and what you're aiming to do is lift up enough to hit the apex of that, or clear it completely, is hit the apex. So you land on that, maximum load is on that apex, and you can climb on over without any spinning, nothing like that at all. So the complexity with this log is the bark on it actually is slippy as well. So it's ultimately difficult. It's like the most difficult thing you can jump up and over is an undercut shape. You need to get, I know you're coming into a dip, so down into a dip, off-road with no speed run up at all because there's not enough room. So very, very technical. So being able to jump is ideal. So you could have a lighter wheel to do this. I could probably do this on 9.1, something like that around that weight. I could grab it, lift it up onto it with brute force. With this, the wheel's just that much too heavy for me to be able to do it. Maybe with a bit of training. So here I'm describing all the issues so you know how to avoid it and how to approach things. You could just lift it up and over it, couldn't you? Right, so here we go. So this is the next shot. That is incredibly close. You see the slow motion of that now. So that is up. I've got enough lift just to get on the apex there. It climbed up and over, but not enough of the jump. So all the force is too late. I'm already too far forward on the foot plates. It's never going to happen. And that's it. And you can see the force just throwing me off. Yeah, not good. Smashes the rear end of the M Super X into the ground there. Yeah, not tasty at all. Right, next shot. Boom, up. Off he goes straight away. Same thing again. So you can't carry much speed in. Compressing my knees. Pulling up as much as I can, but oof. Straight up in the air. You can see it does hit. It does grip at the top, but you ain't staying on that. Next shot. So with that one, you can see it grips, but then just flips me round. My body weight is all wrong as I land on the top. And just spins around on the spot. Snap your ankles off. And I went for a little flying lesson. Now that is the closest one. This is the closest one I ever got. So I don't do any better than this currently. So it's pushing down into the dippy, push down, pull up as much as I can. I had just a little bit more lift than all the other goes. And that's what it's about really, is full committing to that compression as much as you can, as much lift. So clamp your legs in, pull up as hard as you possibly can with all your might. Throw your arms up if you have to on something this large to get as much down and up with as much force as possible. So if you think about it, if you could actually jump high enough and clear the whole log, that'd be epic. And that wouldn't cause you any issues at all, would it? So the more lift you get, the better. But with one complexity, you want to clear the whole thing. So if you could jump a smaller log, you don't want to be landing the logs there. You don't want to be jumping up here, clearing it, but clipping the back of it as you land, because that's going to throw you back as the wheel grips and flicks you backwards. That would be a disaster. So these are all things to look out for. But as you can see in the slow motion, I actually land that. Foot positioning is pretty good. The heels are lifted off, but nonetheless, it is there. But the sudden drop, because of the jolt, don't forget this is split seconds here, it's throwing me back. So my weight, even though it's forward, up and over, is actually coming back. So yeah, which ultimately ends me flying off the foot plates. As you can see, I'm all over the place. The right foot lands down first, left foot, and then it jackknifes around. That's the closest I got to actually clearing that log. Now these, I'm showing you these because if you jump up and you don't jump straight, then the wheel can turn and land on an angle, and obviously when you land on the top, it tries to spit you off because it's going the other way. So keep your body dead straight as you jump up as well, because all sorts of nasty things can happen, as you can see. And look at that machine taking a beating. What a star. Yeah, don't treat your machines like this. So same again, you can see not going up straight with the body, landing slightly sideways, and it's game over at that point. So what you're looking for, I'm trying to demonstrate here for you guys, is maximum lift. What you want is maximum lift prior to it, and ideally a bit more space. But if you haven't got that space, like that was off-road, no run up really at all, down a dippy, down into a jump with a round on it, so you say it's really difficult to hit the apex, and it's a heavy wheel, and it's a wide log. It's a high log, so it's everything against you in that example. So bear that all in mind. This will be nothing like this when you come to a curb, but you can see the complexity involved. But if you've got a nice flat road and you're jumping up a curb, all you need to do is get your timing right. So you load down, put as much load as you can, compress that tyre in. As it starts to rise back up, you want to be jumping as much as possible, and you'll be up and over that curb with no problems at all. After a bit of practice, but prepare to come off a few times when you're learning. That's all I can say to that. That log I will have mastered. It will happen, and I'll go back to it and I'll film it. I didn't really have much time this morning to do it. I had about 20 attempts at it, and there's a few of the attempts and the closest one I got so far, but that closest one shows me it's possible. So yeah, I think just having the tyre down a little bit would have helped, but I left as it was, which is maximum pressure, by the way. So quite solid, quite difficult to get that traction. digging in. It helps with the compression, but it also helps on the landing with a softer tyre because it spreads, it's more malleable. So the tyre, as it makes impact, it spreads wider, giving you more surface area so it doesn't spin out. And all these things happen like instantaneously pretty much once you're riding. And so you want it all working in unison. So it's a lot of complex processes all put together will enable you to jump. Now I'm not sure if this video has actually helped clarify the situation, and there'll be people out there that can jump higher and further than me, but I'm not really interested in that. I'm all about the technique of it, especially off-road. Where there's gravel, obviously the takeoff on that, the actual wheel's actually spitting out dirt as you take off. So it is already slipping at point of takeoff when you're on gravel, stroke loose dirt. So it's ultimately complex. Some of the energy is lost, put it that way, as you compress and you start to lift up, the wheel's spinning on the dirt, and some of that oomph is lost. So it's a lot more work. I was sweating just doing those 20. So hopefully this has helped. Hope it has. But we'll have more following on from this. It was really from the weekend of riding out, people asking questions, how do you do that, how do you do this? And it's all those things. I'll tell you one little cheat if you want to do a good video. For instance, if I was just doing a video, I want to show off the wheel and its abilities, then I would have put a little kicker, as we call it, before the log. It would have been out of camera, you would never have noticed it. And what it does is when you compress and you kick up, you're picking up the whole wheel, like I was explaining. If there was a little kicker there, a stone, about that sort of size, little tiny little stone, I would have ridden into that, compressed, and hit the kicker at the same time prior to the log. That would have given me lift, and that much lift would have landed me on top of the log, and I would just jumped off and carried on riding, and you would know a thing. It would just look like you're doing the same log, but succeeding. But I want to be able to jump that log with no assistance at all in the most complex environment I can imagine, really, unless it was just complete quagmire of mud, then you probably wouldn't be able to do it at all. So slippy log, it's nice and round, the ground dips down before you go in, the ground rises up as you go off. So hope this video has helped. Please like and subscribe, and of course go to all our social channels linked below in the description, and don't forget to get your wheel from speedyfeet.co.uk and go and check out our other videos. I think you'll like them. Done. Full sweep trick started again.